He's retired Secret Service agent Jeff James and joins us now. Jeff, thanks for being here. Really go anywhere you want. I mean, was standard protocol missed here? Was it followed here? What was your perspective of the sort of before, during, and after?
Well, one of the things I want to say about the commentary regarding the sniper teams is I think it's an easier task when you're looking at that picture that we're all seeing that just encompasses that small part of the fairgrounds. You know, the Secret Service sniper teams train out to 1,000 yards, and that's the targets they look for. So I think if you would expand that picture out to cover 1,000-yard pie, and then realize that one sniper team has 180 degrees of responsibility in that pie, there's probably a lot more targets that they're eyeing than just those buildings that are right there in that short distance. There's tree line, there's elevated natural features, there's homes. So that's the one thing I would say is they're looking at a lot more than just those buildings sitting right there in front of them. And again, it's not just near, it's far away also. So that is a tough mission.
So I think that's very fair, Jeff. I appreciate that bit of context. If we zoom that picture out, maybe there is many more potential rooftop environments that they're monitoring as well. That being said, still, does it not surprise you that is certainly the closest proximity rooftop to President Trump's location? Does it not surprise you that someone was allowed on that rooftop during his rally?
You know, it does. But the other thing I don't know is where the secure perimeter ended. You know, it's when you look at these outdoor events, and look, the reason the candidates love these outdoor events is because, you know, if they would have gone to Pittsburgh, the PPG Arena, they could fit 18,000 people. These outdoor events, they can get 30,000 people. They're in front of so many more faces. But it does create situations like this where you have to say there's a stopping point. And when you get beyond that, it's tough to secure this unending amount of land, regardless of how big the outdoor event is. So, yeah, I'll be curious to see as the time goes where the secure perimeter ended. I know they're saying this is outside of it, and maybe there could have been assets used, like local law enforcement, to say, all right, this is your responsibility. All you do is worry about this, and let us know. You know, don't let anybody up there, and let us know if you see anything that you think shouldn't be there.
Jeff, given what we were just saying, that, of course, Donald Trump is the most likely candidate maybe in the world to have an assassination attempt tried on him, and you're looking at the images and the number of Secret Service and law enforcement that you could gather, do you feel like that's enough agents on the scene for somebody who's such a high-value target as President Donald Trump? Well,
it's funny, throughout my career, I never thought we had enough people around any protectee. So that's my thing. It's you always want more manpower. But when I think when you look at the reaction, and look, I don't know about the personnel that were in that outer perimeter and the middle perimeter, but when you look at the reaction right around him, how many people came and enveloped him and created that wall of body armor and flesh around him. And then even more when he got down the stairs and they were pushing him toward the truck. I think that was a pretty significant response of manpower.
But Jeff, when you talk about them surrounding him and the amount of flesh, his head was visible and he was able to fist pump, which the crowd loved. But if there was another shooter somewhere, that looked like a very dangerous situation. I've always seen, maybe I'm just watching movies, but I also remember the Ronald Reagan case where, you know, it was like full coverage.
Whisked off.
You never saw him. I mean, so how standard was what we saw there?
That's the one thing I've said throughout this since it occurred is the one thing I would have liked to have seen done differently is once they get to him, they should have grabbed him and gone, look, he wants to wait for his shoes. That's great. But no, we're going. So if I had one criticism, that would be it. I would have liked to have seen him off the stage and into the armored vehicles more quickly. Once you get in those armored vehicles and you're locked down, you're pretty safe and you can get moving at a pretty high rate of speed quickly if you had to. So that is the one criticism I had.
If you're training this, Jeff, how quick should that happen? I mean, that took over a minute I mean, if you're training on this, what's the standard? Should that have happened in 20 seconds? Should they have been moving the minute they touched him?
Yeah, that was once. If it's me, once I realize he can get to his feet, the feet are moving. It'd be hard to put a stopwatch on it, but if it's me, yeah, we're getting to our feet and we're going. We know where the cars are; they're close by. Let's go.
Jeff, I want to stick with that 2 minutes for just a moment, or that what happened then on the stage. If that is your one concern, if you've reviewed the material, you said that took too long. What, in your estimation, what went wrong? And as Rachel said, we all see this moment, and it's iconic, of President Trump, saying, wait, and raising his fist to the crowd. But why did it take so long? President Trump, we've all been around him, has a commanding presence, and he's going to be in charge of many situations. But you have to wonder, was this a situation where he shouldn't have been in charge, where someone in charge of his life should have been commanding the situation? Why did it go in a way that right now your gut instinct is that's not the way it should have gone in this moment?
Well, it probably simply is because that moment of confusion and things aren't clear. From what I heard, and I can't confirm this, by that point they had already heard a communication saying the shooter's down.
Yes. But
as Rachel mentioned earlier, what if that was just the distraction and the real attack is coming and there's 4 more guys with guns?
Exactly.
So yeah, it just comes back very simply to me. We're moving, and you don't get a say. We'll get your shoes later. We're going.
Yeah. How will this change security going forward? I mean, the RNC starts tomorrow, huge gathering of people. Would this change protocol in your mind?
Well, the RNC plans have been in place for that. They started working on that. Secret Service started working on that over a year ago. So that's pretty much locked down. All the barriers are already up. When they say the outer perimeter, here's how big it is, and I don't know how many you've been to, but when they say the outer perimeter for a convention, they're talking 6 or 7 blocks away. So there may be changes made in the outer perimeter to maybe even something as simple as more barriers so unwanted cars couldn't access. But you can guarantee, though, that people aren't walking along beside the building, on the sidewalk right beside the building with a handgun or especially a rifle, because that's how secure it is. So I don't know that much is going to need to change there, because the perimeter for that is just tremendous.
Well, Jeff James, thank you for your background, your service, and your time, giving us some insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.